Welcome, everybody. Welcome to episode number 75 of Fraternity Foodie. Oh my goodness, I never expected it to get this big. My name is Mike Ayalon, and I am the CEO of Greek University. We call these episodes Fraternity Foodie because there is nothing like great food to bring people together. Today, we have a very special treat for you, especially since I love having undergraduates and their voices represented on our show. It should never be just about administrators or speakers. We want to hear from the students too. And this one is really interesting. See, I spoke at Millersville University in the fall of 2019, and I was looking at an audience of about 1,000 students that particular day. There was a student in the audience that had this special glow that I could literally see from the front of the room. And that's really the only way that I can describe it for you. It was noticeable that all the people around her were smiling from ear to ear because of her energy, her passion, her joy. And I knew immediately that I had to hear her story. I knew that there was more there, and I am so glad that we had an opportunity to connect. This student's name is Delaney Bosworth. Welcome to the show, Delaney.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh my God, it's such a pleasure. So happy to see that you're getting settled at Millersville University and you're getting ready for the fall semester. And I just want to introduce you to our audience. I know that over 9 years ago, when you were age 11, you became paralyzed. Tell our audience what happened.
So basically, I have a rare disorder called transverse myelitis. I woke up one day sick, kind of feeling like I had the flu. And the feeling lasted for about 3 days. So I went to the doctor and they presumed it was allergies. It turns out it was a lot more than that.
Wow.
Because a few days after that, I stood up in class and then lost feeling of my belly button down and just collapsed. I haven't been able to walk since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's crazy. It's very rare. Only like 1,400 people a year in the United States get it.
Have you connected with anybody else who has this?
Oh yeah, 100%. I try to talk to little kids that are recently paralyzed, so they have someone older to look up to. A lot of adults I've connected with. I go to physical therapy at a really popular place in Baltimore that has a lot of people with spinal cord injuries, so I've definitely connected with a lot of people.
That is so great that you're able to connect, and especially with younger people that might not know what to expect. It's so great.
Yeah, when I was 11, that was the one thing I really wanted, was someone to look up to, and I didn't really have that because I didn't really know how. So now that I can actually be that person for kids, it's awesome.
Yeah. So now you get around with a wheelchair, and I know that sometimes you struggle with just self-love, and you might compare yourself to other people on social media. You might think that maybe they're better looking or they have more friends simply because you have a wheelchair and maybe they don't. And I think what's interesting about your story is that eventually you realized that everyone has their quote unquote wheelchair, that we all have these things that hold us back in life and make us believe that we aren't good enough. So talk to us more about those feelings that you have.
When I was first paralyzed, I felt really insecure. I was 11, so of course, that's the worst age because you're a little 11-year-old, barely, you're growing up. You don't even really know yourself. And then, of course, throw being paralyzed into that. So I always wanted to, hide my wheelchair. So if looking back, there's, little to no pictures of me in my wheelchair when I was first paralyzed. And that's one thing I kind of regret. But I started looking, now I'm wanting to hide it from everyone. But then I started thinking that everyone has things they want to hide. And one thing I realized is that even if I could walk, if I walked perfectly fine, this never happened to me, I know there would be something about myself that I want to change. Because unfortunately, that's how just reality is. There's always something about yourself that society makes you feel is wrong and you should change. So one thing that made me realize is that everyone has a part of them that they don't want people to see. So they hide it. And so that was my wheelchair, my actual wheelchair. Everyone has their own wheelchair in a way.
I love that message. I mean, that right there is your talk on college campuses. I mean, you can go on and on about that because you're so right. Everybody has that one thing that holds them back. Everybody. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, once I realized that, it kind of made me feel so much better that I wasn't alone and feeling insecure and out of place. I'm not weirdly unattractive because I can't walk. People are going to want to be friends with me. People are going to want to talk to me. Everyone has something about them that they just want to hide.
Yeah. So you decided on Millersville University in Pennsylvania for your undergraduate experience. And I will tell you, in full disclosure, I love working with the students there. They're amazing. And my sister-in-law graduated from Millersville, so there's a lot of history there. But why was Millersville the best choice for you?
So this sounds really, really cliche, but when I came to Millersville, I felt home. It was like that one school that like you knew you belonged there and you don't know why, you don't know how, you just know that like I need to be here. And I also looked around and like it was so wheelchair accessible. I was like, this is amazing. Like the dorms were perfect, like everything. Like I get to like across campus like in a matter of like 15, 20 minutes depending on the day. Like it's awesome. So I felt like I just fit in there and it was like the place I needed to be.
It really is accessible. I mean, it's a
Oh, yeah.
relatively flat campus.
Yeah, and that's
And
kind of shocking because my sister went to school in Pennsylvania too, and it was just hills everywhere, and I'm like, I don't know, like I can't do that.
yeah, that's so interesting. And I think that's also something we need to remember for later in terms of planning events and making
Hmm.
sure they're accessible, because
Yeah.
obviously in your mind, that's probably one of the first things that you consider when you go
Oh my
places, right?
100%. It's like I sometimes worry because like when I go new places, I'm like, oh, is it accessible? Like, will I be able to like go to the bathroom? Because like wheelchair accessible bathrooms, like, is there going to be a hill? Is there going to be grass? Is there going to be like cobblestone? Because like wheelchairs and cobblestones hate each other, and like pebbles, no. There's like we like for pavement. Wheelchairs and pavement are best friends.
I'm so happy you're saying these things, because if you don't know, you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So that's so important.
When I
And
was
so,
first paralyzed, I had no idea. Like, I never even considered like. I mean, before I could walk, so it never even crossed my mind. And then like I was paralyzed, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I've never even considered this, and now it's like everywhere I look.
wow. So you decided to join Alpha Zeta Delta sorority. So what makes the women of Alpha Zeta Delta at Millersville special?
So the minute I entered like the room during recruitment, the girls just gave me like this energy that they were just so genuine. It was never like, you know, like the stereotypical like movie like in sororities, like those girls that like I didn't get any of that, and like they're real. They weren't like pretending to like me. Like they were so accepting, and everyone in Alpha Zeta Delta is so diverse too. Like no one girl is like another, and I love that because like everyone's different. So I like when the group of girls that I'm around all the time like are not just like another.
I love that. See, that's so important. Later this week, I'm going to be doing a session on virtual recruitment, and being genuine is so important. Forget about the glitter, forget about the speedboats. Just be
Yeah.
genuine, please.
Exactly. It was like I had like authentic conversations with the girl who's like now my big actually, so it worked out perfectly. Like, but I remember like we had our one night and I was like talking in my ear, like their ear off, and I was like, and they weren't annoyed. They were like enjoying it. And I was like, yep, these are my girls. Like I can fit in with them. Like they like me. Like they want me.
I love that. That's perfect. So I'm wondering, how do we address these systems that I think we've created within Greek life? I'm talking about things like recruitment, for example, to ensure that every student who has a physical disability is able to participate, given this wide range of events that we usually put on and a wide range of locations for some of these recruitment events.
Well, so thankfully Millersville is a really small school, so we don't have like sorority houses, so I didn't have to worry about going to different houses. But I know for people that do go to those big schools that have those houses, I really don't believe they're ADA compliant. Like there's probably no ramp, there's probably no way for someone in a wheelchair to go there, and recruitment is intimidating enough. So adding the wheelchair kind of just adds like a little extra, like, okay, are they really going to like me, or are they just going to give me like a sympathy like point or whatever? And like having to worry about accessibility on top of that is just a whole nother thing. So I would say like there's like removable ramps. Honestly, like if you have a house, get a removable ramp. And if you put the ramp out there, if you have a girl or a guy like in a wheelchair going out for recruitment and they see there's already a ramp there, they're going to be like 10,000 like more times like they want me here. Like I feel welcome. So like just kind of like considering like if it's accessible for wheelchairs, it's accessible for everyone.
Right.
So if you can put a wheelchair, if like you put a ramp, everyone can walk up a ramp, but not everyone can go upstairs. So it's kind of like considering like making it easy for a wheelchair to go on. And also like location is everything because at Millersville, we go through rooms. So it wasn't houses, it was just rooms. It was perfect because I didn't have to worry about going super far. It was all in the same building and it wasn't far at all. So it was perfect. So definitely like location and just no stairs.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. And also, you said something interesting too, where you're not really looking for sympathy. So it's like if there's a way that they can just put on their event flyer, for example, that they're open to helping people who need, certain things, and here's a number and here's an email address that if you need some accommodations, we'd be glad to help you. That makes you feel like, hey, they're cool with it, and they're not going to like I don't know, just make a big
Yeah, that was one thing that really drew me to AZD too, is that the girls, the minute I entered the room, they were like, is there anything you need me to do? Like, do you need me to move this chair for you? And I was like, I really appreciated that, because like I was too scared to ask anything because I wanted to make a good impression, because there's so much going on in my mind already. So it was perfect that they were so accommodating. And it was like we remember that. Like, we always remember people that would go an extra step to help.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm so happy that you found them.
Yeah, I am too. I love them. I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, that's so good. So what other areas of fraternity and sorority life do we need to pay attention to in order to make sure that Greek life is more accessible for people who have disabilities?
I would say like the bidding, like the COB events where it's like you're trying to find like more people to come out. Make sure those are accessible, because there are some organizations at like Millersville and like other schools that I see like post on social media where they do ice skating, or they like, let's go play football. And it's like, okay, that automatically makes me kind of less be interested in going out to this, because I can't do that. And so I don't want to sit there and watch people ice skate or watch people throw a football around when I'm trying to get to know everyone. So when it comes to that, just try to consider like events everyone can do, like game nights or movie nights. Or I know actually Alpha Zeta Delta did a tie-dye night, and I got to go to that, and I loved it because it was accessible and I got to know the girls, and it was perfect. So just like fun, like little things you can do without having to actually walk or run to do it.
Oh, so important. See, these are things that, we need to talk about more, because I see
Yeah,
all these events and I look at like 7 days worth of like sports and I'm like, how is
exactly.
somebody with a disability going to participate in this?
Especially in like fraternities, I see it's very common. Like they put out their days, and it's like, today we're gonna play football, tomorrow we're gonna go play basketball, tomorrow we're gonna do soccer, and it's just like, I'm sure there's a couple guys that would just love to come out, but they just are scared because they can't do that stuff.
And great guys that would make their chapter more diverse. I mean, you look at
Exactly.
things, you have a different set of like problem solving skills
Mhm.
than anybody else in your chapter. And
Yeah,
you make the chapter better because of it. But think about all those guys that can't participate and wouldn't even have the opportunity to be Greek. It's so sad that
exactly.
they
And
can't.
like Greek life is so awesome, and like I just really wish that there were more people with like disabilities in there, because like there's so much we can do, and just because we can't walk doesn't mean we're any less of a person. Like we still think just like you, we still have like great ideas. So it's just like the fact that like it's kind of intimidating to go out some things is kind of sad.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you've made a ton of progress in your ability to try and walk again. I am totally cheering you on with every step that you take. It looks like your legs are regaining strength, and you still think about giving up every now and then, if you're honest, but you keep pushing on to reach this goal of walking. And I just admire your resiliency. Sometimes when I'm working with students on college campuses, I find that they just give up when things get difficult. So I'm wondering, what makes you push to keep trying when things become difficult?
Well, thank you. I appreciate your kind words. But I keep trying because I realize there's people out there who would give anything to be in the position I'm in. While I may get discouraged that my legs don't look like I can't walk, there's still people out there that are fighting for their lives in hospital beds, on ventilators, that are paralyzed from their neck down, and like that could have been me. So I have to, like, when I'm upset, like I kind of have to like take a step back, I guess, and just like think that it could be so much worse. And there are people out there that have it worse than I do. So I have to be thankful. And like the things I'm taking for granted, like being able to go up the stairs or be able to grab groceries by myself and like do things like that that everyone does independently, or most people can do independently. I'm really grateful that I can do that, because there's other people that can't.
Hmm. Wow, you have a beautiful way of looking at the world. I have to tell you, not everybody necessarily would look at it from that way, but it's a beautiful thing to hear. Certainly, you have different experiences than most students on campus. I'm thinking about, parking on campus. I'm thinking about going to an amusement park, maybe, or even basement parties, which I'm sure happen at Millersville. So, what things have you learned throughout this process about you?
Well, other than the fact that I get really great parking and I get to skip the lines at amusement parks, it's really taught me who my friends are. Because one thing is, like, not everyone is okay with disabilities, and that's okay. Like, I wish they were, but not everyone's grow up like in a really accepting family. Not everyone's gotten to experience a disability. Before I was paralyzed, I can't tell you when I was around wheelchairs and like actually could feel comfortable. And it took a while for me to even feel comfortable with them after I was paralyzed. So it kind of just gave me patience and kind of an understanding that some people aren't going to be okay with the wheelchair, and it's not really anything personal towards me. It's just they're confused. They don't really know how to act, so it can come off as rude or like disheartening comments. So it's kind of just like a curiosity instead of like a negative thing, but some people don't portray it as well.
Mm. Okay. So I'm wondering from your perspective, how can we increase disability awareness on campuses so students have a better understanding?
Definitely would say just treat everyone with disability just like you would treat anyone else. I mean, the best way to bring awareness to them is like not treating them any different. Because I feel like if you see a student in a wheelchair and you go off the edge, like go crazy and try to make super like unreasonable accommodations for them and kind of draw attention to the fact that they need those accommodations, it's not really making it normal that people with disabilities are there. So like, yes, it's really helpful to ask if they need their chair moved or like if they could have like if they like, need a front row seat, but instead of like don't like make it insane how like giving them attention because they're in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? Like just kind of treat them like you would treat everyone else. Just understand that some things aren't going to be as easy for them.
Right. Wow. Okay, that's really, really good.
Yeah.
Now, here at Fraternity Foodie, we absolutely love good food. So the next time I get to Millersville, which by the way happens fairly often because I have family in the area, where should I go to eat near campus?
Oh gosh, I love iced coffee, so I'm gonna have to say Saxby's because I get their iced coffee, their salted caramel cold brew, and then this might be gross to you, but they have a dill pickle grilled cheese sandwich, and I love it. I am obsessed with it. Of course, they just got it right when quarantine hit, so I only had to enjoy it for like 2 weeks, but it's amazing. Highly recommend. So that yes, Saxby's a dill pickle grilled cheese sandwich. You will love
All right, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to let you know what I think
it.
about
Yes,
this
me
sandwich.
too.
So, if college students or college administrators that are listening right now, let's say they have additional questions for you, what's the best place to follow you or to reach you?
So you can always follow me on my Instagram. It's just at d.bosworth. And then my email is bosworthdelaney@gmail.com. Feel free, any questions. I love talking, especially about wheelchairs and Greek life. Just hit me up with anything.
That is awesome. Delaney, I hope that we stay in touch because I think your message is so amazing. And I just think college students, these are things that we just don't think about. And we need to start thinking about it because I think about all the great members that we should have in our fraternities and sororities, but they're not members because of some of these systems that we've created. And I think this interview today is going to go a long way in terms of making people think a little bit more about
Hope
those
so.
events, just making it more accessible. So I really appreciate the work that you've done here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course, it's my pleasure. I hope we stay in touch. And thank you so much to our audience. If you like this interview, please like it, share it, and make sure that you tune in to the next episode of Fraternity Foodie. Thanks so much. Bye for now.